It's Powerback time on the Gutsy Podcast, your 20-minute boost to reclaim and refocus your energy. Get ready to have bursts of clarity, a boost of confidence, and the practical steps you need to make gutsy moves forward. You've got big things to do, so let's get your power back. What does taking up space mean, anyways? Look, there's a lot of messaging telling women to take up space, but very little definition around what that means and why it matters. I've helped thousands of women make gutsy moves, taking action on the thing that they once hesitated, overthought, or delayed. And while taking up space looks different for everyone, the base is the same. It's the decision to lean in when you would typically hold back. Choosing to do the things that you were told you were not allowed to, whether by someone else or your own internal dialogue. It's not about being loud, reckless, or defiant, although there's a time and a place for that. It's about intentionally choosing yourself until it becomes your standard. On today's Powerback episode, we're going to dig into what it looks like to take up space, why it matters, and how you can start taking up more space in your life and your business today. I was recently a guest on someone else's podcast, and I wish I would have wrote down which show this was. I cannot for the life of me remember, but she was interviewing me and we got on the topic, on the subject around taking up space. And as we were talking, I was realizing, we hear that phrase a lot, right? Like, don't dim your light and be unapologetic and be big and take up space. And while that sounds fantastic, there's not a lot of conversation around how do we do that? What does that mean in the first place? How do we do it? And maybe most importantly, why does that matter? I think a common kind of general thread around it is building confidence, right? Like being confident in yourself, which is 1,000% part of the equation. But I'm like, why don't we talk a little bit more about the depths of this? What does this actually look like? What does this sound like? How do we begin to take up more space in our lives and in our careers? And what is the impact that that has? If we don't get into the weeds of this, we're essentially stuck in Pinterest motivational quote land. And that is a lovely, beautiful, curated space. Don't get me wrong. I love me a good quote as well. But you and I both know what happens after you see a quote that you love and you pin it to the board. When the hell is the last time that you looked at it? Maybe every once in a while there's one that just really gets to you and you print it out and you put it at your desk or put it, on your mirror when you're getting ready in the bathroom. But for the most part, it's like a firework moment. We love that. It feels good. We've got a rah-rah moment, and then you're back to the daily way. So my hope here today is that we open back up this theoretical Pinterest board and we find the things that really matter, and we start to do something about it. We start to shift the way that we look at our actions, the way that we're showing up, the way that we're using our voice or not. Starting to really shine a light on the areas where you're holding back. Because at the core of all of this, that's really what's happening. When we're not taking up space, we're holding back. And whether you're consciously choosing that in the moment, meaning you're seeing things for what they are and saying, nope, I'm not going to do that, or you're running on autopilot. This is a way that your brain has been trained. This is what you've known for a long time. Maybe this is brand new to you and you're just not sure what to do or how to do it. So therefore you go back to what you know. Ultimately, you're holding yourself back from something. Expression, change, voice, movement. And in that place, we end up settling. We end up choosing to go with what feels easier in the moment. And a week, a month, a year goes by and things stay the same. So let's look at what taking up space really is. At the base, this is choosing not to conform. It's deciding to lean in where you would typically hold back. Think about a time that you were in a meeting where there was something happening and you had something to add, whether it was an idea, you wanted to push back on something, you had some resistance, you wanted to suggest something different. But in that moment, you were like, oh, no, I'll just stay quiet. This was a subconscious decision to hold back, to dim your light. This is not taking up space. Taking up space would say, hey, I have something to add. Raising your hand, voicing your opinion, suggesting the idea, giving them an alternative. right? This is saying, hey, I have something to give here. And instead of hiding myself, I'm going to take up the space that I've rightfully earned. You're at that table or in that room for a reason. And taking up space is owning that. It's also embracing the parts of yourself that you would typically hide. Your voice, the way that you talk, the way that you speak, the way that you truly want to write content for your business. Dimming yourself is sounding like everybody else. It's writing content in a corporate way or in a way that the world tells you that you have to be professional. Taking up space is using your authentic voice, finding out what that is in the first place. And, honestly, that is sometimes an experiment. I often find, though, that your natural tone and the tone and the way that you speak that works the best is the one that comes most natural to you. I can always tell when I am shrinking myself when I'm writing content, whether it's recording a TikTok video or I'm writing a post on LinkedIn, because I start to use these like kind of jargony words that I've never worked in corporate directly, but I've worked with corporate a lot. And I can still hear sometimes when I fold in these like, let's circle back kind of situations. And I'm like, hold on a second. Let me even notice when I am holding back. Let me notice when I am trying to conform. And let me consciously choose in this moment to delete that and write it or say it how it comes most naturally to me. And I got to tell you, it's so much easier, so much easier. It takes so much less time to write content, to put things out there, to say what I need to say when I just say it the way that Laura says it. And the best part about it is it attracts the right people. I mean, you're here for a reason. This is a version of taking up space. Do you see what I'm starting to say here? Like noticing when you are hesitating, noticing when you are choosing to conform or leaning towards conforming. Another way that we typically hide is in our visual, in our body. How many times have you put on an outfit where you are hiding your body, where you are covering yourself up, where you are minimizing the space that you're taking up? Listen, I'm not saying that you need to go out and buy a hot pink dress, unless that's your jam, and then do it. But what I'm saying is, are the clothes that you're putting on, the way that you're wearing your hair, your natural hairstyle, are we hiding these things to conform to what corporate has told you had to be, or what your friend group is expecting, or a circle that you're in, or whatever is influencing you on the outside? Why don't we take back that power and say, how do I want to do this? Could I be proud of my body? Could I be proud of my natural hairstyle? Could I allow myself to experiment with the things that feel interesting? This is a form of self-expression. This is a form of self-ownership and saying, you know what? I love who I am. The world has spent gajillions of dollars trying to convince you to not love yourself. And I would bet that if we stripped back all of that messaging, we stripped back all of that comparison, you probably actually feel pretty okay about yourself. And dare I say that you love yourself? I mean, is that even possible? I think so. Because at this point, we're not striving for perfection or modeling what's working for somebody else. Taking up space is being yourself as your current self in this current moment. Not when you lose 20 pounds, not when you get your hair cut, not after you achieve a milestone moment. Right here, right now, taking up space as yourself. I really kind of see this as putting the personality back into the world. Holy vanilla has this place become. Like everyone's doing the same thing, following the same path, talking the same way, showing up the same way. I don't know about you, but I think it's fucking boring. Like I just physically cannot conform to that. And there have been moments in my life where I have. All the way back, if we go way back in the archives, when I started my first business, I was 22 years old. And I swear to you, I wish I still had it. I conformed so hard because all I saw was what Ask Jeeves at the time told me that a corporate woman looked like. And she had a slick back bun. She had on a pencil skirt suit and she had a pad folio and she stood with like impeccable posture. And so I'm like, okay, clearly, that's what I need to do. If I want to be a successful woman, I need to look like that. Oh, and she most definitely did not have facial piercings. So you can bet your ass Every time I put on that outfit, I also took out my nose ring. And it only took me a handful of times of putting on this Halloween costume, I'll call it, going out into the world and having meetings and coming home and immediately ripping it all off and putting myself back on to start noticing, hey, I don't think this is working. You're seeing a theme here. We've got to start noticing where you are conforming, noticing where you are stripping back the parts of yourself, where you are hiding yourself. Because on the flip side of this is choosing yourself. And when you choose yourself, you naturally take up space. I think sometimes when we think about taking up space, we have to like come in with fireworks and flashy things and music and this whole big ass thing. And it has to be loud and it has to be reckless and it has to be defiant. And listen, sometimes we got to be a little loud and reckless. I'm just going to say, but for the most part, it's not all this big shit. It's in these moments when you're saying, you know what? I'm not going to do it like everyone else is. I'm not going to do it like everyone else has told me that I have to. Instead, I'm going to notice, I'm going to notice where I pause, where I hesitate, where I strip back who I am to be everything that everyone else has told me that I have to fucking be. I will also tell you that it's not an overnight thing. And it's not like your entire existence tomorrow. Okay. In that moment, back when I was a little tiny baby person. Okay. This was also 2007. So piercings and tattoos in the workplace were still a giant no-no. I'm not saying that it's 100% right now in 2026, but I think we've come a long way. So this was a time where like these things were not acceptable, but I'm like, I feel awful. I hate pantyhose. Why am I putting these things on? This maroon pencil skirt is not my vibe. I don't like how I'm shifting myself and I stood differently and I raised my voice and I used my corporate lady tone. And I'm just like, who the fuck are you? Why are we making ourselves be something? If this is what success feels like, I don't want it. And I think that that's a really important thing to notice within yourself as well, is how this tears you down, how this drains you, how it pulls the life out of you. And if this is what you have to sustain to get the things that you want, is it still really what you want? And if it is still really what you want, how can you do it in a way that feels right to you? So I stopped conforming. I stopped taking out my nose ring. I stopped wearing the maroon suit. I threw the pantyhose all the way away. Gone. I don't even think I own a pair anymore. And I started going to meetings as Laura. I wore t-shirts with a blazer. I had ripped up jeans. I had my nose ring in. I mean, I was a pretty classic creative business owner. And what I found was I was happier. It was easier. I wasn't drained. I didn't feel like shit every single time that I had to go to a meeting. I didn't resist setting up meetings, because that's the other thing. When you're like battling who you are, you hold back in doing the things that you want to do because you have to spend so much time and energy conforming to it. I realized that it was fun again, that it was easier. I had more energy when I got done with meetings. And I was working with people that appreciated me for who I was, not for a version of me that I felt like I had to create. This is an example of taking up space. Notice how it wasn't loud. It wasn't this big, bold move. It wasn't flashy. There was no soundtrack happening in the world. It was a silent moment where I chose myself instead of choosing to conform. This is taking up space. Listen, when women move, so does everything around them. You know that. I know that. I think the collective knows that. And when we are choosing to conform, when you are holding back in spaces, guess what the women around us are doing too? But when we flip that script and women choose themselves and they take up space, it is contagious in the best of ways. Look at the impact that Alyssa Liu has had on the world. Coming out of the Olympics, getting to know her, Listening to her story and seeing her be unapologetic who she was, setting the standards for what she will and will not do. I'm going to choose how often I practice. I'm going to be part of the creative process. No one is going to tell me what I can eat and how much of it I can eat. I'm going to do it my way. And I'm going to do it with joy. I'm going to go into this to have fun. I'm going to express myself on the world stage, and whatever comes of that, comes of that. Look at the impact that Alyssa has had globally, not just on women, but on men too, on young women, on young girls who are saying, I want to be myself too. I want to do things my way. Nobody's going to tell me how I have to do things or how I have to take care of my body or how I have to starve myself. I'm going to choose me. Alyssa Liu took up space. And while, yes, it was broadcasted on a global stage for us all to see, so that could be seen as a big thing, she didn't do it for the big thing. She did it for herself. And that impact has had a ripple effect in the most profound way possible. She took up space for herself. And that is impacting girls around the world, women around the world, people around the world to say, you know what? Maybe I could do a little bit of that myself. So when we talk about why taking up space matters, I mean, you can see the ripple effect that it has. You being you taking up space, you dressing the way that you want to dress, you wearing your natural hairstyle, you speaking up in a meeting or sharing an idea with a client. It is influencing someone else in the room, whether you realize it or not. Taking up space is also honoring yourself versus the external limitations. It's saying yes to you. It's building safety within your own body to say, hey, you know what? I did that. Maybe I could do this next thing too. This is where motivation builds. This is where confidence grows. Your clarity, gosh, it gets so much more clear. The more that you are you, the less cloudy shit becomes. This is where change happens. We saw that with Alyssa Liu, and we can see that in your everyday life as well. You don't have to be on a global stage in order to have an impact. This is all about intentionally choosing yourself until it becomes your standard. Your non-negotiable, something that you eventually don't even think about. I couldn't tell you the last time I thought about my nose ring. In fact, most days I forget that it's even there. I sure as fuck do not own a maroon pencil skirt suit. It's just not my jam. So what feels like work at first, eventually, when you stick with it long enough, when you choose yourself over and over again, eventually it just becomes your day-to-day. All month long inside the Gutsy Collective, we are practicing taking up space. And this is one of the great things about the Gutsy Collective and the women in the room is that we're actively building the skills to make the bigger moves. They're getting clarity. They're taking the small steps that add up to the big change. They're preparing themselves for a shift. And they're learning to prioritize themselves for the first time, maybe ever. They also get to practice these new skills that maybe feel a little uncomfy or are new to them in a place where other women are doing the same thing. So it's safe and it's supportive and it's non-judgmental. And naturally, they begin to take up more space in all different aspects of their life and in their careers. If you want to practice taking up space, if you want to learn what that looks and feels like for you, then I would invite you to join the Gutsy Collective. The first 30 days, it's on me. I want you to come in and experience what it truly feels like to be supported and make the moves that matter. The link to sign up is below, or you can go to LauraAura.com and click on the Gutsy Collective. Let's wrap today up with a few ways that you can start taking up more space. This is a great time to grab a pen and paper if you can, because I'm going to give you a few questions for you to think on and then ultimately to take action on. First is to recognize, where are you currently holding back? Where are you minimizing yourself? Where are you making yourself invisible? Where are you downplaying your desire or ignoring your needs? This is that hesitation moment that I've been talking about throughout this episode. Noticing where you are holding back is going to be the first step in being able to choose how you want to move forward. The second piece here, what is the fear or discomfort that's driving this? At the root of this, it's not just because you don't want to, there's something driving it. So what are you afraid is going to happen? What is the discomfort that's really coming up that's making you hesitate? If we see it, we can name it. If we name it, we can start to work with it. Next, Envision the future you. Okay, this is the person that you are working on and towards. This is the person that has the things that you dream about, that you think about. Let's start to embody her energy. This is an identity shift. If we think about that future you, how would she choose to move differently today? How would she take up space? What would she do differently? Because ultimately, she only exists because you made the changes today. For instance, future LauraAura does not hold back in her content. So guess what? I have to practice that here and today. We want to start embodying the truth of ourselves, the real you. That's what taking up space is being you. And lastly today is choosing where you're going to take up space. I would encourage 1 to 3 ways. You can go more than that, but honestly, we don't want to freak your system out, okay? We want to build up safety. We want to build up familiarity. We want to show our mind and our body that, hey, it's okay. I've got me. Think about talking to your younger self. We're not just going to drop them off at sea and say, hey, I'll be back for you. We have to build up that safety. And so the way we do that is just choosing just a few, if not even just one way, you're going to consciously choose to take up space. Where are you going to use your voice differently? How are you going to show up differently in your outfits or how you present yourself? Where are you going to stop turning the dial down and instead turn the dial up? And let's practice this. Let's practice taking up space with this one thing so that you can show yourself what's possible. So you can start to build evidence that, hey, you know what? This was scary, but I did it. And I did it enough times that I don't even think about it anymore. This, my friend, is taking up space. I would love to hear where you are going to start taking up more space in your life and or in your career. So come send me a DM. I'm on all the platforms. My handle is @thatlauraaura. And as always, until I see you next time, stay gutsy.